This last Tuesday, President Obama, in his State of the Union address in Washington, raised the issue of the minimum wage. It is time for America and the state of Illinois to have a serious conversation about raising the minimum wage. It has been way too long since we've addressed this issue. And the problem that we face is that many people who get up and go to work every single day on a minimum wage can't make ends meet. In fact, by official standards of poverty, many people working under a minimum wage with a family of 3 are below the poverty line. These are hardworking people doing their best, and it's very tough for them to make ends meet. Today we're meeting at Women Employed. I want to thank them for allowing us to gather. We're going to hear from some folks who are living with a minimum wage, trying to survive with a minimum wage. They're right here in Chicago and in Illinois. And their stories are going to be stories that I think will convince you, as I'm convinced, that it's time to raise the minimum wage. The federal standard is $7.25 an hour. In the state of Illinois, $8.25 an hour. The president has called for a raise to $10.10 an hour, which I support, phased in over 2 years. And it also is a wage that would finally be indexed. What this means is we won't wait 5, 6, or 7 years and look at it again. Each year it will go up with the cost of living. There's another part of the minimum wage, which we'll hear about from a young lady who's living under that particular category. It's a sub-minimum wage, the so-called tip wage. When you go into a restaurant, the person who's waiting on your table, most of the time, is officially only making about $2.13 an hour at the federal level. It's a little higher at the state level, but they survive on tips. The basic wage that's being paid by the restaurant is extremely low. And you'll hear stories about when people are not generous tippers or the weather's bad and the tips don't come in, life can take a bad turn for a lot of hard-working people. This morning I went and had breakfast at one of my favorite restaurants downtown, Lou Mitchell's, and I went in there and Donna, the waitress, first counter, who's my buddy, my friend, we talked about minimum wage for a minute. She said, I just wish some of these politicians could get out and meet people who are trying to get by on a minimum wage. These are not lazy people, she said. They're the hardest working people on earth. And it's tough for them to make ends meet and keep their families together with a low minimum wage. The last point I want to make is this. When people are paid a minimum wage that is not adequate, they end up needing more help from the government. That means they turn for SNAP program, food stamp program, and other assistance, which means basically all the other taxpayers of America are subsidizing their income when their employers don't pay them enough to get by. So this is an issue that goes way beyond whether you or a member of your family has a minimum wage. It really is an issue of policy. I want to make sure that people that get up and go to work are paid a wage that shows them respect and dignity and basically acknowledges if you're willing to get up and work hard, we're willing to make sure you've got enough to get by.